offering our collective pranams at the lotus feet of our dear Sadguru. Respected elders, all brothers and sisters, and everyone joining us live, a loving Sairam and good evening. Back in the day, when Krishna and Balarama visited Mathura for the first time, they came across a woman named Kubja, who was notoriously called the Hunchback of Mathura. Due to her physical deformities, Kubja was always the target of jokes in the village. On seeing her, Krishna addresses her by saying, "O beautiful one." Hearing this, Kubja feels insulted and replies, "O Krishna, I thought you were different. I thought you were special. But here, just like the others, even you are taunting me for my physical deformities." To this, Krishna replies, "Kubja, I meant what I said. You are indeed beautiful, because I am not referring to your physical form, but that soul, that Atman within you, which is always pure and beautiful." Such is the way a jnani perceives the world, be it a plant, a dog, a king, or a pauper. He only sees the divine shining forth in so many forms. We see this practically demonstrated in the way Swami treats everyone, be it a minister on the stage or us students who may have trivial issues. Yet, he patiently listens, consoles, and reassures with the same love. And this is the message encapsulated in the 18th shloka of chapter 5, Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Many more such shlokas, including the 25th one, describe the workings of a realized soul. As first-hand beneficiaries, participants, and witnesses of this mission, we can see how Sadguru, though established in the self, works solely for the welfare of all. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rathaha. We will now chant the imported shlokas from the 5th chapter.
Om Shri Paramatmane Namaha Atha Panchamodhyayaha Karma Sannyasa Yogaha. Arjuna Uvacha Sannyasam Karmanam Krishna Punaryogancha Shamsasi Yachreya Etayorekam Tanme Bruhi Sunischitam. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah Karma Yogascha Nishreyasakaravubhau Tayostu Karma Sannyasat Karma Yogo Vishishyate. Jneyasa Nitya Sannyasi Yo Nadveshti Na Kankshati Nirdvandvo Hi Mahabaho Sukham Bandhat Pramuchyate. Sankhya Yoga Pruthak Bala Pravadanti Na Pandita Ekamapyasthita Sanyak Ubhayor Vindate Phalam. Yat Sankhyaif Prapyate Sthanam Tadyogairapi Gamyate Ekam Sankhyancha Yogancha Yaf Pashyati Sapashyati. Sannyasastu Mahabaho Dukkhamaptumayogataha Yoga Yukto Munir Brahma न चिरेणाधिगच्छति। योगयुक्तो विशुद्धात्मा विजितात्मा जितेन्द्रियः सर्वभूतात्मभूतात्मा कुर्वन्नपि न लिप्यते। ब्रह्मण्याधाय कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा करोति यः लिप्यते न स पापेन पद्मपत्रमिवाम्भसा। कायेन मनसा बुद्ध्या केवलैरिन्द्रियैरपि योगिनः कर्म कुर्वन्ति सङ्गं त्यक्त्वात्मशुद्धये। युक्तः कर्मफलं त्यक्त्वा शान्तिमाप्नोति नैष्ठिकीम् अयुक्तः कामकारेण फले सक्तो निबध्यते। सर्वकर्माणि मनसा सन्न्यस्यास्ते सुखं वशी नवद्वारे पुरे देहि नैव कुर्वन्न कारयन्। नादत्ते कस्यचित् पापं न चैव सुकृतं विभुः अज्ञानेनावृतं ज्ञानं तेन मुह्यन्ति जन्तवः। ज्ञानेन तु तदज्ञानं येषान्नाशितमात्मनः तेषामादित्यवज्ञानं प्रकाशयति तत्परम्। तद्बुद्धयस्तदात्मानः तन्निष्ठास्तत्परायणाः गच्छन्त्यपुनरावृत्तिं ज्ञाननिर्धूतकल्मषाः। विद्याविनयसम्पन्ने ब्राह्मणे गविहस्तिनि शुनि चैव श्वपाके च पण्डिताः समदर्शिनः। इहैव तैर्जितः सर्गो येषां साम्ये स्थितं मनः निर्दोषं हि समं ब्रह्म तस्माद् ब्रह्मणि ते स्थिताः। न प्रहृष्येत् प्रियं प्राप्य नोद्विजेत् प्राप्य चाप्रियं स्थिरबुद्धिरसम्मूढो ब्रह्मविद् ब्रह्मणि स्थितः। बाह्यस्पर्शेष्वसक्तात्मा विन्दत्यात्मनि यत् सुखं स ब्रह्मयोगयुक्तात्मा सुखमक्षयमश्नुते। ये हि संस्पर्शजा भोगा दुःखयोनय एव ते आद्यन्तवन्तः कौन्तेय न तेषु रमते बुधः। शक्नोति हैव यः सोढुं प्राक्शरीरविमोक्षणात् कामक्रोधोद्भवं वेगं स युक्तः स सुखी नरः। योऽन्तः सुखोऽन्तरारामः तथान्तर्ज्योतिरेव यः स योगी ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ब्रह्मभूतोऽधिगच्छति। लभन्ते ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं ऋषयः क्षीणकल्मषाः छिन्नद्वैधायतात्मानः सर्वभूतहिते रताः। कामक्रोधविमुक्तानां यतीनां यतचेतसाम् अभितो ब्रह्मनिर्वाणं वर्तते विदितात्मनाम्। स्पर्शान् कृत्वा बहिर्बाह्यान् चक्षुश्चैवान्तरे भ्रुवोः प्राणापानौ समौ कृत्वा नासाभ्यन्तरचारिणौ। यतेन्द्रियमनोबुद्धिः मुनिर्मोक्षपरायणः विगतेच्छाभयक्रोधो यः सदा मुक्त एव सः। भोक्तारं यज्ञतपसां सर्वलोकमहेश्वरं सुहृदं सर्वभूतानां ज्ञात्वा मां शान्तिमृच्छति। ॐ तत्सत् इति श्रीमद्भगवद्गीतासु उपनिषत्सु ब्रह्मविद्यायां योगशास्त्रे श्रीकृष्णार्जुनसंवादे कर्मसन्न्यासयोगो नाम पञ्चमोऽध्यायः। श्रीकृष्णार्पणमस्तु।
May we now invite our revered Chancellor, Shri B.N. Narasimhamurthy Sir, to address us all this evening.
Dearest Sadguru, brothers and sisters, and very dear students, boys and girls. Dilating on the essence of the fourth chapter, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, yesterday Sadguru said that one of the most important, profound, greatest revelations of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is in the fourth chapter. That is the Avatara Tattva, or the principle of divine incarnation. In fact, there is no other scripture in the whole world which talks about the Avatara Tattva. Of course, Bhagavata does talk about the Avatara Tattva, but the kind of revelations made about himself, by himself, when he comes down as the avatar, are absolutely unique to the Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes many students have asked me, we think that there are only Dashavatara or 10 avatars. Yesterday, Sadguru said Bhagavan Shankara also is an avatar. So where does he fit in? For the sake of students, I would like to tell you that the idea of the 10 avatars is a very recent one, only a few centuries old in our country. This was highlighted, brought into limelight by Bhakta Jayadeva in the Radha Madhavam, which he composed, one of the most beautiful poetries in the whole literature of the world literature. In Bhagavad Gita, we have 26 avatars. And Sadguru said, anyone who has realized himself and has a mission in this world is an avatar. Therefore, the number of avatars we can go on adding as time passes. Shankara was an avatar, Ramakrishna was an avatar, Ramana Maharshi was an avatar. In Indian philosophical thought, avatars are classified into 4 groups. The first is the Yoga avatar, second is the Avesha avatar, third is Amsha avatar, and the fourth is Purna avatar. Who is a Yoga avatar? Anyone who has realized himself and teaches men and women, teaches the world the secret, the science of spirituality is a Yoga avatar. From that point of view, Bhagavan Shankara was a Yoga avatar. Even Jesus, you can call him a Yoga avatar. Ramana Maharshi, Ramakrishna, whoever has realized himself, discovered and experienced his own divinity and teaches the science of yoga, the way of yoga. The same definition of John Maxwell, which applies to a leader also applies to a yoga avatar. Yoga avatar knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. Therefore, he knows what is the way. He himself has gone that way. And therefore, he can show that way. From that point of view, even Sadguru Madhusudan Sai is a yoga avatar. However, see, there is logic and rationale behind this. This is the classification of avatars according to Indian philosophical thought. Whoever has identified himself with the divinity and shows the path to others is a yoga avatar. That is the first classification. So going to second classification, Avesha avatar. Avesha avatar is a momentary incarnation or divine manifestation, momentary manifestation of God. Like Lord Narasimha, he was not born to any father or mother. He came out of the pillar. And he was there only for a few moments. And he came to achieve a particular purpose of saving his devotee Prahalada from his own father, Hiranyakashipa, by killing Hiranyakashipa. So this is an Avesha avatar, momentary avatar. They don't leave. They don't come with a Sthula Rupa through parents. Any such, like even you can take, say, Kurma avatar or Varaha avatar. All these are Avesha avatar. They came for a particular purpose, existed for a few moments, maybe a few hours, and nothing beyond that. And Amsha avatar does not have all the 16 kalas or all the 16 aspects of a Purna avatar. In our scriptures, only Bhagavan Sri Krishna is referred to as a Purna avatar. And in our own times, Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba was referred to as a Purna avatar who came with all the 16 kalas, all the 16 aspects of a divine manifestation. Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba once revealed to Dr. Vinayak Krishna Gokak what are those 16 aspects. Now that is beside the matter. Sri Rama is considered an Amsha avatar, and it is said that he came with 12 of the kalas, 12 aspects of the divine manifestation. And the other 4 were his own 3 brothers and Parashurama, they say that. People who argue logically, analyze logically, they say that. So Krishna was the one and the only Purna avatar according to our scriptures. Then we have added Bhagavan Sri Sathya Sai Baba. Therefore, the avatar, 10 avatars, is a very recent idea, recent concept in the history of Indian philosophical thought. Therefore, our students, everybody should understand that, of course, the 10 avatars which you see here above, see, they also depict the evolution of the avatar, apart from the evolution of human being himself, starting with the fish. That also evolution of the avatars. Like, Bhagavan Sri Krishna was the Purna avatar who came after Rama, who was the Amsha avatar. So that is about the avatars. Another point I would like to dilate upon for the sake of students is, yesterday when a question was asked, when somebody commits something wrong in our prisons, what do we do? And Sadguru very emphatically said, you can't keep quiet. Whoever it is your duty to try to correct him, if not correct him. And he also gave the example of Bhishma Pitamaha, who closed his eyes when Draupadi was being humiliated in the full court, and therefore he had to pay for it. With his own life, he had to pay for it. But at the same time, Sadguru advised that when you want to correct someone, you have to talk in a way that you are entitled to depending on your age and status. That's very important. See, in Indian culture again, there are 3 ways of correcting a person. 3 ways of talking to a person whom you want to correct. The first is Prabhu Samhita, second is Mitra Samhita, third is Kanta Samhita. Prabhu Samhita is a king correcting a subject, a person, anybody in his kingdom, or a teacher correcting a student, father correcting a son, a warden correcting a student. See, this is Prabhu Samhita. You can speak with authority because that is your job. Being a teacher, principal, warden, or king, or a ruler, that is your duty, bounden duty to see that wrong things don't happen. And they don't happen anywhere, at least in your presence, they cannot happen, they should not happen. That is Prabhu Samhita. The second is Mitra Samhita, like equals. Prabhu Samhita, there is a senior and a junior. Whereas a Mitra Samhita, between friends, a friend correcting a friend, an equal correcting another equal. There is a way of talking when you are speaking to equals. There is a way of talking. For example, recently one of my classmates in engineering college came, and he came after more than 50 years. In Kannada, I asked him, Hagiddiri Neevu? I asked him, how are you? Haage heltiya? Hagiddiyya ant kelu. That's what he said. In singular only we have to speak. See, that is friend. Why do you speak in plural to me? Speak in singular, and he spoke to me in singular. Hange heltiya neenu. So that is a friend correcting a friend. Somebody is doing wrong. You can't say, hey, come on, sit down. Like warden, you can't call your friend and make him sit and give a lecture. You have to, suppose you're walking nicely, see, Rahul, whatever name. I think this is how it should be done. What I think you have understood may be wrong. I don't know. I am not sure. See, that kind of a friend correcting a friend. Then a junior also can correct a senior. That is Kanta Samhita, how a devout wife corrects the husband. A junior, even a student can correct a teacher, but you have to adopt Kanta Samhita, like a devout wife. I don't know these times, earlier times that was it. My mother used to correct my father many times like this, even without lifting her head, looking at him. See, that is how a junior also can correct a senior. Therefore, also Swami Sadguru dilated, Satyam Bruyat, Priyam Bruyat, Satyam Priyam na Bruyat. See, there is a way of telling. But at the same time, what is very important is, seeing something is being done wrongly, You can't keep quiet whether you're a student or a teacher or a devotee, anybody. It's your job, it's your duty to correct in a way that befits. But here, again, suppose you don't get the courage to correct somebody, it's your duty to report it to somebody who can correct it. At least that much you have to do. Many times, students have a wrong notion. Oh, it is like complaining. Dur helodu. It is not complaining. It is reporting. See, every government has intelligence system. If things are going wrong, it should be reported to the ruler so that they can be corrected. So if you cannot correct, at least it's your duty to report to somebody who can correct it. With these words, I conclude and pray to Sadguru for his enlightening talk on the 5th chapter and then the question answer session. Thank you very much.
As we close every chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we chant Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su, Upanishadsu, Brahma Vidyayam, Yoga Shastrai, Krishna Arjuna Samvade, and chapter Name, and finally. But what I am trying to say is that we have learned why Bhagavad Gita is a Gita. We have learned why Bhagavad Gita is an Upanishad. But also it's mentioned Bhagavad Gita is a Brahma Vidya. Brahma Vidya means knowledge of the self, knowledge of the highest. So it reveals the truth of the highest order. And that's why it's also called Brahma Vidya. And then it also teaches us how to attain that truth. That is why it is Yoga Shastra. Yoga is a certain practice. Shastra is the manual or a book that tells us how to practice yoga and then attain Brahma Vidya, which is the essence of all the Upanishads, being presented in the form of a song divine. So that is the essence of what you chant at the end. As you have also noticed, every chapter is called a yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. All are yogas only, and even the remaining chapters are titled the same way. So we are learning step by step, like an instruction book is being followed in order to attain what? Brahma Vidya, the highest knowledge of the self. While in Karma Yoga we learnt how to do our duty, which we cannot escape because we are all bound by karma, having been born on earth. In Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, we were told, with the wisdom that neither you are the doer nor you are the enjoyer. We must continue to serve and work in the society. You must attain wisdom because there is nothing greater than wisdom. Doing something without the knowledge of it is not right. Learn about what it is, understand what it is, and then do. Blind following is not allowed. Without understanding, copying is not allowed. You have to understand the subject. So, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. You do karma, but do it with the wisdom of why you do it, who is doing it, who is enjoying it, how it is being done. And then we came to Karma Sannyasa Yoga, and Arjuna raises a question. You told Jnana is first important, and also you tell me that karma is important. One side you say attain that highest wisdom, who is the doer in the first place, who is the enjoyer, and then engage in action so that no action will bind you. On the other side, you are also telling me, go ahead and do your duty right away. Which should come first? Should I first attain the knowledge of the highest self that I am divine? Because Arjuna has not attained it yet. And then engage in the action so that no action binds me. Or should I have to do action first now and eventually gain the knowledge? I am confused how to begin this journey, how to begin this Yoga Shastra, which way to proceed. And in this chapter, Sri Krishna explains, some people want to take this Jnana Marga, they want to become wise people first and then they want to engage in action. And that's also called as Nivrutti Marga, which is the path of withdrawal. Whereas the other marga of karma is to engage in action, actions done perfectly, actions done selflessly, actions done as offering to God. That also has to be done. That is called pravrutti marga, where you engage with the world and perform your duties. However, to me, engaging in the world and performing your duties perfectly as an offering to God is the better way. Sri Krishna says, in my opinion, it is better. His opinion also is based on time, place, and situation. It was Arjuna. And for Arjuna, this is the better solution. A guru alone knows the pulse of the student, which thing suits which student. It seems Sri Ramakrishna Paramsa had Vivekananda and Brahmananda as his disciples. Vivekananda was the firebrand. He would become furious at the slightest mention of any insult or disgrace to his guru. And Brahmananda would take it calmly and try to think that whatever happens, praise or blame does not affect my guru. So it so happened that they were traveling in a boat, and some man in those days was ridiculing Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, passenger in the boat. And on the Vivekananda got very angry. And he said, another word and I'll throw you into the water. Whereas Brahmananda kept quiet and he said, no, this is not how we should behave. This is not what is taught. We have to be kind and compassionate and forgiving. When they reached there to the ashram, this story was brought to the notice of Sri Ramakrishna. He called Vivekananda and scolded him, saying that, how can you be so rash? You should know what to talk, how to talk. What grace will you, what good it would do if you behave like this, being my disciple. And on the other side, he calls Brahmananda and gives him the reverse wisdom. He says, why did you keep quiet when your guru was being insulted? Somebody who heard both was confused. He asked Sri Ramakrishna, you give one advice to one disciple and another to another one. Why is it so? He said, what is needed for which disciple I know. Vivekananda is too short-tempered. He needs to tone down. And Brahmananda is too docile, too humble. He needs to strengthen up. So both need a certain advice, and I am going to do the same advice. Like a doctor knows why that stomach upset is. Is it because of overeating or is it because of hunger? So they know. Likewise, a guru is capable of it. Sri Krishna diagnoses the problem of Arjuna. And he realized that if Arjuna decides to take sannyasa now and first do the path of knowledge, go, withdraw, get into Himalayas and perform austerities, that's not doable. We are in the middle of the battlefield. Arjuna must perform his duties, and through duties, through the perfection in action, he must attain the highest wisdom eventually. As we mentioned, all actions are for purification of one's mind. Karmani chitta shuddhartam, ekagriyartham upasana. And slowly when the mind becomes pure, it is able to steady itself. There are less thoughts, less emotions, less desires, a more stable mind. When both the things happen, then we study the books of wisdom or learn from a guru, Brahma Vidya, and then we are able to attain it easily. Without proper preparedness, if you straight away plunge into Brahma Vidya, you will not understand anything. So Krishna advises Arjuna, you do your duty first and do it well. Do it as an offering. Do it with the knowledge that all this is going to God only. He is the real doer and enjoyer. And ultimately you will attain the highest wisdom and you will become Nitya Sannyasi. Not of sannyasi on one day and another day bogi. Not sannyasi at the end of your life after having performed all other ashrama dharmas. But you will become Nitya Sannyasi. Forever you will be a sannyasi. He says, gunas should be given up. You remember, our gunas drive us to do things. You go beyond that. That is a Nitya Sannyasi who does things for doing sake, performing and discharging one's duty, not for his personal gain, recognition or anything. That idea will come to you naturally. You don't have to put efforts. Effortlessly you will be a sannyasi. A Nitya Sannyasi is what one should become. So this is a great hope for everybody in the world. All can engage in all kinds of actions in the world as long as they are detached from the idea of doership, enjoyership and desire for the results and outcome. Yet they give their very best. Then you are a Nitya Sannyasi. And that's what you have to attain, is what Sri Krishna advises him and tells him, you perform your action first, because through the path of action you will purify yourself, and in a pure mind the wisdom dawns as a natural process. A lot of youngsters take to this path of sannyasa. No, we will go to wear ochre robes, we will shave off our head, we will cut off connections, we become sannyasi. Many people take to that path. That's the path of Sankhya or Jnana. They think that is the right path. Many people say, no, no, young people should work in the society, help the society, not take to sannyasa and monkhood. And they think that is the right path. But Krishna says only people who have no understanding of the truth, they speak of these two paths as superior or inferior. The one who is really aware knows that both are one. A perfect jnani will be a perfect karma yogi, and a perfect karma yogi will be a perfect jnani. There is no dichotomy there, there is no confusion over there. Like many people climb the mountain from many sides, at the end they reach the peak. The end result is only one. But each person's experience is different. This Nandi Hills is there, you can go by road, you can climb from the others, there are steps, or do various ways from various directions you can climb, but you will reach ultimately the peak. Likewise, Jnana Marga, Karma Marga, both will take you there, but better for you is to perform your duty right now and perform it to the best of your abilities without any doership, enjoyership, knowing that only one Lord who permeates everything is the real enjoyer and real doer. With this idea, you perform your duties. He makes it very clear. And also, for the first time, Sri Krishna here talks about what is the disposition. Of course, in a brief way, Sita Prajnasya Ka Bhasha, at that point in time, he describes. But here again, in great description, great detail, he tells what is the nature of the person who does all these things. And this just now, the student said, he sees everything as one. Who is a Pandita? Who is the true man of wisdom? Pandita Samadarshinaha. Sees everyone equally, does not differentiate, does not discriminate, does not judge, has no prejudices or preferences. Everything is okay. Favorable results are okay, unfavorable results are okay, because he is not interested in results. He is interested in doing his duty for the sake of performing dharma. Beyond that, there is no real kind of aspiration of this person. So this is a very important principle. And when you have this understanding, then you are a sannyasi forever. You don't have to become sannyasi on one fine day performing certain rituals. Every day you are completely detached from whatever you are doing, but yet you are completely involved. So complete involvement with complete detachment is Nitya Sannyasa. There are many examples. People who have worked so hard with great devotion, with great sincerity for the sake of the world. At the same time, they are hardly bothered about the results of what happens. Who knows, who does not know, who acknowledges, does not acknowledge. What comes out of it also, they are not particular. I see like a river, they flow for the sake of Loka Sangraha. Sarva Bhuta Hite Rata, that is their quality, it's also mentioned here. They are engaged ever in the welfare of all. Like the river which flows, who spits in it, who worships in it, who bathes in it, who washes dirty clothes in it. The river is unaffected. It flows. It does not reject or accept people. That is the nature of these Nitya Sannyasis, that is the nature of these Pandita. That has been said over here. And Sri Krishna clearly explains, you work like this and no action will ever bind you. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma, vijitatma jitendriyaha, sarva bhutatma bhutatma, kurvannapi na lipyate. If you can develop this status of mind, yoga yukta, you are established in the wisdom that everything is divine will. Everything is for the sake of divine, not for my sake, your sake, her sake, nobody's sake. For the sake of the divine, I do everything that I do. And then, Vishuddhatma, pure heart. No selfishness in the heart, no self-interest. Only for the welfare of Vishuddhatma. Vijitatma, control on oneself, does not get affected by emotions or pleasures and pains of life. Completely in control of oneself. These are the qualities. And what is the quality? Sarva bhutatma bhutatma. The one who sees the same self in all the beings. Does not discriminate different. This is my child, some favors I will do. That is somebody's child. This is my people, those are others. This idea does not exist in such a person. All become that person's very own. He may behave differently according to the people's position, status, age, and all that. But deep in the heart, there is no discrimination. There is no differentiation. Because he sees oneself, one divinity in all, like the one electricity in all the bulbs. In the fan, in the mic, in the light, in everything, there is one electricity only. So that is the idea. While you see things differently on the outside, this man knows inside that all are divine. All are divine. Tatra ko moha kashoka ekatvam anupashyataha, says Isha Upanishad. Where is attachment and sorrow or pleasure, both opposites for this person who sees one in all. Everything is divine. With that vision, such a person works, and such a person get this benefit of kurvannapi na lipyate. Even when he engages in action, he's sannyasi, nothing touches him. How? Like the lotus leaf in the water. That's how the example has been given. He stays in the world does not stay in him. He works in the world or enjoys the world does not enjoy. Boat in the water not in the boat. So such a person alone is capable of completely remaining unaffected by any actions or their results. Yet he will always perform action. So become like that, Arjuna, and eventually you will come to know how this will help you to stabilize your mind. And because we are getting next into Dhyana Yoga, he drops a small hint over there. How this person who performs the action in the world also is very established in the self. He says his focus is always in the middle of the brow. It doesn't mean that you squint your eyes and go about. It means his mental focus is there. Who am I? He never deviates from the idea of who he is or she is. I am divine only, acting through this body, through the mind. That is the concept. Even in the busiest times, deep inside is completely detached, completely centered. That is the idea of focusing in the middle of the brow. And his breath, both prana, apana are in complete balance. What it means, he's not getting excited or depressed, affected by anything. And even in yogic practice, the first thing that they teach you is pranayama. That's how you control and balance your breath. That's how you control your mind and balance your mind. That's how you can focus on the Atman inside. Otherwise, mind is disturbed and you cannot. And physically, breath is the very reflection of how peaceful or disturbed your mind is. So his breath is always balanced because never affected, never agitated, like a perfect yogi. His mind is always centered on who he is while he is performing all the actions in the world. Now, this is how you can continue to perform, you can continue to fight the war and remain unaffected by sins or merits or whatever comes out of it. This is what after Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, he's saying karma sannyasa is not about giving up karma, but giving up the very idea of doing and enjoying and knowing every time that it's the divine who does and the divine who enjoys. You don't have to take another separate path to achieve this. Amongst all the paths, this is the easiest and the best path. That is how societies can become better societies. So this is how it is. Now some of you may ask, but I have also seen people who have walked away from the family life and taken sannyasa and disengaged from the world. They might have disengaged from the worldly activities in the worldly parents, but they have not disengaged from the activities per se. The true sannyasis don't do that. Say, for example, Swami Vivekananda, he took sannyasa, but did he just go and sit quiet in a corner? No. He went about preaching and propagating. That is why it is said in Viveka Chudamani also, what they do, Shanta Mahanto Nivasanti Santo, Vasantavat Lokahitam Charantaha, Swayam Tirna Bhima Bhavarnavam, Janana Hetu Na Anyana Vitarayantaha. They are like the spring season that comes and brings beauty and prosperity to everyone and everything. And they have crossed the river, crossed the ocean, crossed the Maya. But they come back again like a boatman to ferry other people across. Only for their sake they work. They don't have any work to do. There is no need for them to work, but they do not disengage from the action. They still continue to work for the betterment of all. And these people can work the best because they have no attachment, they have no anxieties of outcomes, and they are ready to give their very best for everything that they take up in life. So there is perfection in everything that they do. They are absolutely selfless. Such people can do better job than the people who are actually called professionals to do things. Because these people are coming from another side. They are another approach. This is very important. If professionals can become like, as the Socrates said, kings should be philosophers and philosophers should be kings. This is the idea. Jnani should be acting in the world. Then all actions will be good. And such karma yogi only should be jnanis of the world who can preach this jnana. Otherwise it is incomplete. So how can we become like this is the yoga shastra that Bhagavad Gita is teaching. Eventually we'll attain, all of us will attain Brahma Vidya. Kalena Atmani Vindati. Everybody will attain. However, the methodology or the process or the path is through action only. By getting rid of action, you cannot become jnani. By engaging in action, right kind of action, you will be able to attain wisdom in the end. That is the idea. So you cannot say, teach me all swimming and then I will jump into the pool. No, you have to jump into the pool, put your efforts, and then you learn swimming. Teach me all the jnana of self and then I will engage in the world. No, first engage in the world, learn how to engage, and then become a perfect jnani. And then you are jnani and karma yogi together. So I do not see any dichotomy. They are two sides of the same coin. And both sides have to be there to make the coin valid. This is the idea of karma sannyasa yoga, jnana karma sannyasa yoga, karma yoga. All put together is this much: do your duty with the best of your abilities, with complete knowledge of you are not the doer, you are not the enjoyer, it's the divine who does. Therefore, you have neither desire for the results or the outcomes, nor you have any aversion towards doing anything. You completely engage with whatever has come your way. And if it matches with your guna dharma, all the best. That is the even better, because then you can do it so easily, comfortably, effortlessly, because it is in you to do it. So Guru is important, who can guide you on what kind of actions you should engage in, how you should engage in, and how you should be able to attain the highest wisdom at the end. That is the essence of whole of Karma Yoga. Next we are entering into Dhyana Yoga, a transition chapter from here. And then from there it just slowly moves into the next part of the Bhagavad Gita, which is more about Upasana Bhakti. That do everything, but now also remember whose sake you are doing and how to remember Him, how to be conscious of the divinity in all. That part will be coming in the next 6 chapters or so. So after Dhyana, we will get into Bhakti part of the Bhagavad Gita. So this is for now, so you should be happy that you have got work to do, and that work is positive work, selfless work, and that work is for the Sarvaloka Hite Rataha, for everybody's welfare, and you are able to do it to the best of your ability with joy, not as a burden. Effortlessly you are able to do, then you are already a Karma Yogi, and a Karma Yogi will be a Jnana Yogi sooner or later. There is no doubt about it. Theoretically you may know now, eventually you will also make it an experiential reality. That is possible. So karma is the way, action is the way, right action is the way to liberation. You can ask questions.
Swami, in the path of practicing non-doership, ego and attachment appear again and again. Is the continuous act of dissociation from these thoughts the right way to deal with it? What else can be done to get rid of these lower thoughts?
See, we have these gunas that we are bringing from many births, right? It's not the first time that this is happening. We have been there. Bahuni patitani janmani. So our habits are there. They have formed. Vasanas have formed over many, many births. All of a sudden, you can't get rid of ego and attachment just like that. It's what you call as a very stubborn, sticky, thing. It needs a lot of effort to wash it clean. So it will take time. First of all, don't expect that on very first day you will get it all right. It's not going to happen. So you might be able to bring it down. It's like cutting the grass. There is a wild grass growing everywhere. The house looks bad. You cut the grass, mow the lawns, everything looks beautiful. But next few weeks again the grass grows up. So these ego attachments are like that. Unless they are completely removed from the root, they'll keep growing up. Now how to remove it from the root is the question, because they keep coming up again and again. The only way to remove it from the root is when you have tasmin drishte paravare, when you have realized yourself. But till then what should we do? Till then what should you do? Till then you go on putting efforts to uproot it. Not just cut and be happy, our lawns look good, I'm happy. No, next day everything becomes wild again. So this effort to uproot it is required. And the only way is the wisdom of the self. There is no other way. Wisdom of the self alone can remove this. Like I give the example of Chanakya when he was pricked by a thorny bush. He did not go to cut the bush. He went and bought some sugar syrup and then poured the syrup on the bush. And when his disciple Chandragupta asked, "What are you doing?" He said, "If I just try to pull the bush out, the roots will remain and that will grow back. I want to kill it. I want to totally destroy it from the roots. If I pour the syrup, ants will come and eat up all the roots, and once for all this will be completely destroyed." So this complete annihilation of ego and attachment happens only when you have realized the self and merged in the divine. But for that sake, what is required? Put selfless effort. Selflessness is the way to uproot this ego forever. More selfless you become, ego will disappear, because the ego is only selfishness. So more and more selfless actions you engage in, it will influence your inside. Externally, when you pravritti, when you do selfless acts, nivritti also will happen automatically. You will develop less of ego, less of attachments. It will happen to you. So first thing is engage in actions which are selfless. That will help you to also develop that attitude within of selflessness. And from there, the complete destruction and annihilation of ego will happen. That's why one selfless act a day keeps your ego away. That is the formula. So daily engage in some selfless action. Force yourself. Even if you don't feel like doing, go and do. That is why I tell you, people are so blessed because every action here is supposed to be selfless, at least supposed to be. And there is no way you can be selfish over here because everything is done for somebody else's sake. So how easy? Keep doing it, keep at it. Someday the ego will disappear, completely gets annihilated, and you will realize the knowledge of the self. But till then, this is the karma sannyasa yoga is the way. Keep doing selfless actions day in, day out. Kuru punya mahoratram, smara nityam anityatam. Go on doing good every day, every night, and go on remembering what is real, what is unreal. So every time ego or attachment comes up, tell this is unreal. This is not what is going to give me happiness, permanent peace. This is not right. Keep reminding yourself. Someday you will rise and you will be able to overcome ego and attachment.
Swami, can you please explain the concepts of karma, karma phala, heaven and hell? How much of it is exhausted in heaven or hell, and how much do we carry forward into the next birth?
So you will decide and do only so much sin so that you can finish. See, such mathematics does not exist in spirituality. The logic and rationale and all the mathematics and calculations does not exist in spirituality. How your karma and karma phala work? As you yesterday, that every action has a reaction, but the reaction happens at different points in time and situations. And who controls that? The divine controls that all. What is the best way to make this soul evolve? The divine knows whether to give that reward now or to give the reward later. That is the way of the divine. You cannot decide it now and as and when you want. There's a story of Gandhiji. He was telling, he writes in his book that when he had a very strange teacher. So whenever a very, very dull boy, even if he gets a little marks, he will praise him to the heaven and give him additional grace marks. But whenever a sharp boy gets even best marks, he will cut marks and cut it very, like a miser, he will reduce his marks. So Gandhiji asked him, why do you behave like this? This fellow has done well, you should give him more grace mark. And this fellow is never studies and whatever he has got passing marks, why you are encouraging him? He said, that boy who is getting very good marks is brilliant by birth. And he should not develop ego that I am the best and nobody is better than me. So I judge him very harshly. Whereas the one who is very dull, he is not able to study properly. Even if he gets 5-10 marks more by his effort, I give him another 5 grace marks for the efforts. That is the way I encourage him to come up in life. So the teacher knows how to, though the subject is same, though the marks and the questions and answers are same, but how he lenient or how strict he is, he decides based on the student that he is trying to train. Likewise, the divine knows which soul needs what kind of punishment at what time and how much reward at what time. It's under a great divine will that all this operates. So there is no calculation how much you do now and how much of it will come. Some Shastras will write, you do this, you'll go to this kind of heaven, you do this, you'll go to that kind of heaven. And there are very categories are there. This is just to encourage people to do good. Nobody has gone to heaven and come back and told us that it was really all true. I don't know of anybody. So don't depend on all these philosophies. In fact, Sri Krishna says, Nadatte kasyav chit papam nachaivam sukrutam vibho ajnanena avrutam jnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. He says, I do not give any sins or merits to anybody. It means I do not assign you to hell or heaven. Out of ignorance, you think I do all these things for you. So who knows whether the heaven or hell exists also or not? We do not know. We only know this earth and what we make out of it. So let us not get into these calculations of karma, karma, phala, and after that which heaven and which hell will go to. Knowing that every action will have a reaction sooner or later. That is good enough a philosophy for us. Whether we will get punished now or good riddance next birth, who knows next birth, we will see that time. It doesn't work like that. In the next birth when you suffer, some man of wisdom will come and tell, in the last birth you did this, so you are suffering now. So just remember that every action is a reaction. It's good enough to keep us on the good path. And heaven and hell, or when will the results come, how much will be the intensity, all this is unnecessary calculations, which is not going to help us at all. So I have to always ask yourself, will this help me in my spiritual path? How will it help? All these calculations. So that's why yesterday also you were telling about Edgar Casey, hypnotherapy and all that. I always tell, some people get so excited, they always want to find out what they did and why they're here. That is the way of hypnotherapists and regression therapists. And then they go to astrologers on the other side. What will I become tomorrow? How will it span out for me? They keep on calculating. They either are living in the past or they're all living in the future, but they're never living in the present. This is the plight of those who calculate too much. So my advice, 2 cents of advice is, please focus on your present. That's why present is called the omnipresent, because whatever you do here has implications on whatever happens to you next. What you have brought with you, you can't change it. Develop on it, improve upon it, and see to that here onwards you do everything good. If the results come good now or later, doesn't matter, because our karma yoga is telling, or karma sannyasa yoga is telling, why are you bothered? You are doing right thing, good enough. If I don't even do with the idea that I am doing and I have to enjoy the results, just let it be. Just do as you are. You're a teacher, you're supposed to teach the best of your capacity, you teach. That's it. After that, what happens, what does not happen is none of your business. You teach as has been given to you. Some students will study, work hard, they'll pass. Some students will be lazy, they won't study, they will fail. It is not your personal problem. You do what you can do the best for your students in the class. Leave it at that. That is the idea of karma yoga. So this calculation we should not get into.
How can the message of the Gita be followed by those who are not spiritually advanced to break free from addictions?
When I said, Gita will tell at some point in time, Uddaredatman Atmanam, you have to help yourself. If you do not want to help yourself, nobody can help you. God cannot help you. So you have to develop this idea that I have to help myself. And how does it happen? Either it happens through virakti or it happens through vairagya. What is virakti? You get fed up with everything. You fed up with yourself. And then you realize that I must change my way because there is no peace, no life, no joy. And then out of that frustration you change. Or you develop wisdom. Some jnani comes and gives you wisdom. You develop an understanding of what is right, what is wrong, and then come out of addictions. But the idea is that unless you want to help yourself, nobody can help you. The one who is on the path of self-destruction wants to destroy himself, nobody will come to his rescue. But such a person, in a moment of prayer or in a moment of devotion, prays for some help. God is always there to help such a person. He'll send help through some way or the other. Again, addictions are not something that you developed it by being in constant company of such people who also had addictions, or by developing that habit. That's what dhyayato vishayan punsaha sangasteshu pajayato. There is 8 steps to destruction. Similarly, there is 8 steps to elevation also. From indriya to manas to buddhi to mahati buddhi to jnanatmani to shantatmani to the param avyaktam and then purusha. 8 steps are there back also. So slowly you have to rise yourself by joining the right company. Joining the right company is the beginning of all good things, even addictions for that matter. All of a sudden you cannot come out. Bhagavad Gita has told you how you landed in this mess. Because you were thinking about it, then you got it, then you met people like this, and then you developed into a habit. Now it has become your second nature. You can't get rid of it. You have done it to yourself. The same way you can get rid of it also by joining the company of the good, and from there you learn the right things. Then you withdraw your senses into the mind, and mind you should control with your buddhi, and buddhi you should control with the self. And that is possible in the company of the right people. But if you don't want to help yourself, nobody can help you. That is the first step. So such people, if they really want to find help, they will find help this way. One more question.
Is there a special dharma for differently abled people?
No, dharma is the same. Their karma may be different. Dharma means what they are supposed to do in the world. That is same. But the way they can do it is different for differently abled people. Now, if it affects their body or mind in some way, so naturally they cannot do the actions in the same way or at the same pace or with the same level of proficiency. There will be some, difficulty. But dharma is what? To do things which is good for everyone. And that nobody can change. The swadharma or atma dharma is the same for everybody. Whether you are a man, woman or whoever at the highest level. Then you have guna dharmas. Guna dharma is also same for them. Even if for differently able person, guna dharma is same. But how they can execute it may change according to their disability. A blind person has to do a certain thing. Even teaching or walking or doing some activity can do with the help of braille or whatever. So their karma is different. They cannot do the same way as you and me. So, but dharma of teaching remains the same. He will teach using the other methodologies, other technologies, or braille or whatever. May not be able to use the regular books and things like that. So his teacher dharma is same, but his way of karma, action may be different. But most important, as I said, is where your intentions are, attitudes are. What is your dharma more than karma? Dharma that matters. Okay, one more question.
What is the difference between Mahati Atmani and Shantatmani?
Okay, this concept comes from Kathopanishad, not from Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita has simply told us 4 steps: Indriya, Mana, Buddhi and Atma. 4 things it has told. Whereas here, there is one Mahati Atmani has been introduced. Jnanatmani is your Buddhi only, which is your intelligence, which is the same Buddhi as what Bhagavad Gita is talking. And when he says Parasastu Saha, that ultimate, that is the Shantatmani. What is this Mahati Atmani in between? See, the concept is that your individual Buddhi will think about what is your individual dharma by which you can do good to everybody. But yesterday also somebody said, no, there is an individual dharma and there is a collective dharma that we all have. My individual dharma or my individual likes and dislikes have to be sacrificed for the sake of the collective dharma of everybody. What is good for the entire society. So Mahati Atmani is that collective intelligence. What is good for everybody. In a room of 100 people, 99 people are thinking in a certain way which is good for everybody, then the one person's thinking has to be sacrificed. His individuality has to be sacrificed for the collective wisdom of all. So a culture, a group of people, a nation that has a collective wisdom. That collective wisdom you subscribe to, which is better than your individual ideas. As long as everything has to be measured against dharma only, the collective people are wrong, then that is wrong only. As long as it is dharma only, collectively we have to think. In a group of people, we have to decide something. You have some idea, which is also right. But then you realize that that idea may not be applicable or doable right now because the rest of the group is not ready for it. They have a certain way of thinking. Then you merge your mind with their mind and say, okay, let us all come to a common solution which is good for all, acceptable to all. It may not be the best one. It may not be what you wanted, but it is what everybody is able to accept and move forward. So we sacrifice our individual thinking for the sake of a collective thinking. And ultimately, if we are inspired by the divine thinking, then all collective thinking also will be the same, individual thinking also will be the same, because the source of all thinking is divinity. When everybody merges into Shantatmani, and everybody is inspired only by divinity, and not by their individual or collective wisdom, then all will get the same answer. Somebody asked me this very pertinent question. Swami, you are there, you are guiding, you are telling what to do, what not to do, and we are able to follow and things get done. But a day will come when we will have to take individual decisions. And how are we going to come together and take a decision? So I told them, first decision is that if you all are connecting to the same divine source, because every one of you is selfless and egoless, all of you will be inspired by the same divinity, you will be surprised at how each one of you got the same solution. There won't be any discrepancy, there won't be any distortion, there won't be any problem at all. Because each one of you has prayed to the same divinity, you have invoked the same selfless love in you, and therefore whatever intuition tells you, take it from me, even if you don't know each other, you all will come and arrive at the same conclusion. Because you are all inspired by the same divinity, the source is same. See, there are 4 screens over here. All of them are showing the same thing at the same time. Why? Because the source for all the 4 screens are the same camera. Now if I change the cameras, this screen for this camera, that screen for that camera, 4 cameras and 4 screens, then it will become different views, different angles. So one camera for all the 4 screens is Shantatmani. For all the minds of men, only divine will operates. When it operates, it's called Shantatmani. When each of the camera is operating in each of these things, that becomes individual Atmani. So the idea is that you have to think from the divine point of view by being completely selfless, then intuition will inspire you, and then you all will get, 1,000 people in the room also will get the same answer. No doubt about it. But when all are not able to do that, then you have to go with collective wisdom. Majority of the people, as long as it is dharma, not like Kauravas, majority are thinking the same thing, let us go and fight the war and kill Pandavas. No, that is not dharma. As long as it is dharma and majority of people are liking it, thinking it, that is Mahati Atmani. It is good for most of the people. Most of the people are accepting that. Let us go ahead with that. And that time I have to suppress my individual likes or dislikes or preferences and prejudices. So that is the idea of Jnanatmani, Mahati, that is collective Atmani, and the Shantatmani. So the future would be this: unless you grow spiritually, you can't run these organizations peacefully. Because you won't get one thing, you can't write to me, WhatsApp me, email me and get the solution. And whenever I see there is some issue with the officers, they can't come to a common conclusion, what happens then? They'll shoot a mail to me and tell me, please in your wisdom you tell what is right. And I will completely connect to that divinity and I will tell this is what is right. It turns out to be right for everyone. But when that is not possible, what will you do? Either you connect to divinity or all of you sit down together, keeping aside your individual egos and intelligence and think of what is good for the whole group, what the whole group wants, that is Mati Atmani. With that also you act, it will still be a good solution. And then if you can't do that, then individual ideas come, then you can only live individually. You cannot live in a group and a society. Munde matir binnaha. All minds think differently, all intelligence is different. That will lead to clashes and chaos. So you have to grow spiritually. That's why so much of effort I'm putting. Because large organizations have got destroyed after the founder only because they were not people or men and women after the founder who were also as pure, as selfless, as divinely connected as the founder was. Then that led to chaos, differences, clashes, and finally the destruction of the entire organization. So it is very important that you grow. At least if you can't go to Shantatmani, go with Mahati Atmani, collective wisdom of all. But don't go by just your individual ego and your intelligence. Take everybody along. We will talk tomorrow again. And I hope everyone is benefiting from this Bhagavad Gita workshop. Are you? There are many concepts of Sanatana Dharma that are coming out chapter by chapter. Just don't read Bhagavad Gita like that. There are some concepts which are coming out, which also you should think of. Like in the second chapter, we learned the concept of Atma. For the first time, Atma is introduced to Arjuna. Right? Punarjanma is introduced to Arjuna, which was not there before. So I told you, Punarjanma and Karma are the two major principles of Sanatana Dharma that is introduced there. In the Karma Yoga and the Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya Yoga, Punarjanma, Karma Yoga, Karma. And then in Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Avatara is been introduced. That is again a Sanatana Dharma concept. Nobody knows that. And in this Karma Sannyasa Yoga, Papa Punya has been introduced. But Krishna says, I am not done giving you Papa or Punya, I am not punishing and rewarding you. Again, Papa Punya is a concept. Most of the religions, most of the philosophies thrive on this Papa Punya. They control people by scaring them that you will go to hell, and then they'll give you a menu of all the punishments that are possible in hell. You'll be fried in hot oil. Now, it is there in our Puranas also. Garuda Purana you should read. It will scare the daylights. It's so scary. How all they torture you in the hell, all that Garuda Purana has a huge description. How they fry you, how they boil you, how they cook you, or torment you. These are concepts just to make people feel afraid of getting into such narkas. Or there are other Puranas which will talk about Swargas, and different types of Swargas are there. You can go and enjoy. Nachiketa's father wanted to go enjoy. But these are all concepts. But Krishna says very clearly, don't hold me responsible for any of this. Neither I give you doership, nor I give you the action, nor its results. Everything is your own making. As long as you have ego, you are the doer and this is your own making. Similarly, heaven or hell or whatever experience you think of is your own making. I am not into it. But all other religions teach what? God will put you into hell and punish you. God will reward you and praise you. But our Indian concept of Sanathana says, God is not here to reward and punish anybody. It is not Daiva Bhiti, it is Daiva Priti that we work for. That is why in our institutions also say, don't scare them like mothers scare children with policemen. They have created such a bad reputation of police. Do properly, otherwise the police will come, they'll tell. Poor policeman, he's supposed to help. He's Rakshaka, they create a Bhakshaka image of policeman. So the child, next time he's on the road, he sees a policeman, he gets scared. Not supposed to get scared. Suppose the child needs a help, he should go to the policeman and seek help. But he won't go because his mother told my policeman always punishes. Likewise, don't create wrong image of God in devotees' minds, especially children's mind, that God gets very angry, He punishes us for whatever wrong we do, or He rewards us only when we do right. You are distancing God from the children, from the devotees. That's a wrong concept. But most of the religions have tried, because the religious idea was to keep people together. It's born from a word religare, which means to bind people, to control people, to discipline people with one philosophy, a thought, or idea. So therefore, our religion is not religion. Ours is a way of life. Sanatana Dharma is a way of life, which teaches us God does not punish or reward anybody. For Him, everybody is equal. Samadarshina is. But we, as our ego dictates our mind, and then we do things accordingly, we experience the results. God is not to be blamed for that. That concept should become very clear. Otherwise, our children will get afraid of God. That's very wrong. That's very wrong. We should not teach wrong philosophy, wrong teachings to this. So here the concept of Papa Punya comes, but also the clarity comes that I am not the reason for you to experience heaven or hell or pleasures and sorrows. It is your own doing, your own making, as long as ego is there. Ashtavakra says, Yasyantam syad ahankaro na karoti saha nirahankarasya dhirena na kinchit karma kartam akritam, which means for the one who has ego, even if he does not do anything, he ends up doing, because ego binds him. The one who is egoless, selfless, even if he does, he is not doing. Na kinchit kritam, no doing or not doing, nothing exists. So ahankara or ego is the reason that causes good or bad to us, happiness and misery. Please don't blame God for anything. Many people write letter to me, why did you do this to me? Why did you not do something else? I wonder, when did I do this? I did not do anything. So I don't take both. Swami, you did, everything happened, business happened well, we made good profits thanks to you. That also I keep it aside. Somebody says, you did not help, my business collapsed, we are on the road, you are responsible. That also I keep it aside. I don't accept both. It's your karma, your dharma, whatever you have done with your own buddhi, you are experiencing the results of it. I am not responsible. I am a reflection, reaction, resound. However you think of me, I behave like that. That also Krishna says, as people worship me, that is how I respond. So please remember these important Sanatana Dharma concepts also, which Bhagavad Gita is teaching us in every chapter. But the essence of this chapter, according to me, is Samadarshinaha, which she told, we should develop that equal mindedness, equal side. We should not discriminate. Like we have learned other concepts earlier of Sita Prajna, we have learned the concept of Niswartha, Nishkama Seva. We have learned also the concept of Samadarshina, being equal to all without any discrimination to anyone. So these are very beautiful concepts we are learning as we move in Bhagavad Gita. It's also revealing many fundamental principles of Sanatana Dharma. So please dwell upon them also and try to understand it in greater depth. All right.